This is Eastmans Elevated podcast. I have on great guests that are really knowledgeable, consistently successful. We're able to dive deep down the rabbit holes of these different subject matters of shooting, of physical fitness, of mental toughness and drive. All the different skills that make up a complete hunter that you can become.
Here's your host, Barney.
Yo, what's happening, guys? Man, weird, wild times we're in. I thought I'd sit down, record a solo podcast, some extra entertainment. And part of this podcast is talking about my own journey and current events. And so, yeah, just talk about the current times we're in and mindset and keeping happy and, controlling the things we can control. And so we'll get right into it. I just want to thank our sponsors real quick. I want to thank Sig Sauer Optics. Sig Sauer is just building top-end optics. I'm so impressed by them. They compete with the top brands in the industry. They're just so dialed at their crispness, color fidelity, sharpness of those optics. I've been using that new spotting scope, that new angled 80mm objective lens, 27 by 55 power. Man, that thing is so clean and crisp. I can just judge those bucks from a long ways off and see if it's worth walking over there to go put a stalk on them. It's just great at field judging and picking distant landscapes apart. So impressed. I like their binoculars. Their Zulu 11 by 45s are just a great pair of binoculars. I've also been using their range-finding binoculars, and I really believe Sig Sauer has the best rangefinders in the market. And so I also use their Kilo 1000. I love it. It does angle compensation, first target, last target priority, so it'll shoot through grass, consistent readings, whether it's light or dark targets. They're just absolute top of the line. Along with that, they also have rifle scopes. They also have the BDX system, which connects the rangefinder to your rifle scope to an app on your phone that'll help you figure hold and drop, anything you need to figure to make an accurate shot. So they're really building quality stuff. I'm so impressed by Sig Sauer Optics. So if you're in the market for some new optics, make sure to give them a chance and take a look through them. And with that, over there at Eastmans, we just launched that new tag hub, which pretty much puts, everything from the MRS in one place on the internet and more. There's so much data in there. It's always evolving. Such a resource for applying for tags out west. So make sure to check that out. And if you guys got some time on your hands, make sure to check out the Beyond the Grid or the Eastman's Hunting TV. I know I DVR it on my TV. I'm still an old guy. I still have TV. I'm not all internet. I haven't cut all the cords yet. I just like watching some sporting events and I like to watch fights and then some stuff on the outdoor channel. And so I'm just caught in between where I like the internet TV and I'd love to cut the cord, but we do still have regular TV. So I DVR the Eastman's Hunting TV on the outdoor channel. Some great new episodes on there. Last season's elk hunt in Montana from me and also an antelope hunt. And then I have some high country mule deer the last handful of years in Wyoming and Nevada, and some pretty cool hunts for me and really fun to capture. So check those out if you got any free time. With that, let's get into the podcast. We're already into the podcast. So yeah, man, oh man, COVID-19 taking over. It's just a wild time, and it just changes by the day. And so we're in a mandatory, shelter in home now that the governor put out that they want us to stay in home. But it's tough. Like, how far do you take it? As I read through that, I'm allowed to do housing construction and, I think you just want to limit your contact to people, and you don't want to overreact, but also don't want to underreact. It's hard though, you start thinking of every situation. It's just really weird. Like I just finished off this house and got a bunch of stress off my shoulders. Really good young couple, good clients, and just finished out their house and handed it over to him. So that's a big relief for me. I've been working away on that. But as we're trying to finish this, we have all these lockdowns, and gosh, I'm having to go to Bozeman and go to Home Depot and go to Canyon Noble up there and go to our local lumberyard, which has stayed open, which I think they're going to stay open through the lockdown. It sounds like hardware suppliers, they're not shutting any of those down. And, and if it was everywhere around me, I'd have no choice. I want to keep my family safe, and it's just tough, like how far to take this quarantine. Do you take that to not seeing your family and friends? But, there again, like we've got to help Holly's mom out. She took a spill yesterday with the dog. They had to go into the hospital. I hurt her wrist and kind of busted open her lip and things and had to get some stitches. But, we've got to keep contact with her. It's like you can't just isolate people. We've got to have contact, with my dad, and I work with him. And even on our construction sites, there's not many guys, but I'm taking chances. I went into Home Depot the other day and grab a few things, for this job. And the cashier in front of me had this huge sneeze in front of me, and then she's wearing rubber gloves, and then I had to borrow her pen, and you just start thinking about it. It's so weird. But, I think also like these things like 9/11 and like, real trouble. It's a pandemic, and there may only be a 2% death rate in it, but it's a pandemic that spread across the world. It makes you more understanding of humans and people out there, and you want to be nice. There's more waves, at least in my community. So, I'm hoping it's going to bring us closer together and prepare us more for these. And man, I got faith in our nation and all the smart people and in the world. Like, we're going to get through this thing, whether that's, I know flatten the curve just lengthens the curve so our infrastructure and our hospitals can keep up with things. But, I just heed the warnings of our government and try to do what they say and take them serious, and hopefully we nip this thing in the bud, and by, couple weeks, couple months, whatever it is, whatever we have to ride out, we just ride it out, and then life gets back to normal, or they figure out a treatment for this stuff, or, they figure out a shot, an immunity to it. They'll figure out something. Like, this isn't the end of the world. And I mean, gosh, with some of this stuff like the Black Plague and the Spanish flu, and humans survived that with less technology. So we're just so connected in today's day and age, and so much travel, and people don't want to be quarantined, which I don't blame them. I've got nature all around me in a town of maybe 1,000 full-time residents, 1,500 full-time residents. So, if I'm down on the river, or if I'm up in the mountains, I'm kind of away from people. So, I wouldn't want that taken away from me either, which we're allowed to exercise underneath this order and able to travel around. But like in Washington, they shut all the fishing, shut all the access sites down. It's like, man, oh man, they really want people to stay at home. But yeah, we just gotta make it through this thing as a nation. And man, who's better prepared than us as backcountry hunters? We've been preparing for this our whole life, and my deal is just control what I can control, and it changes by the day as far as me and Holly and our family, and what we want to do for the quarantine. Should I not see any of my family or friends? Or like I was talking about, there's some people that I just have contact with, and my sister, and there's just some level of risk there. But I'll change that as the time comes, as we start seeing more and more of this in Montana and in Ennis, Montana. We've had a couple positives here in my town. But the problem is all these people traveling. I go to the Home Depot or the Canyon, and I feel like it's my one trip for the month to get everything I need there. And I just see people that are bored walking around there, and also, our grocery store, we're Ennis, Montana, but then you see people from Bozeman there, and the people from Bozeman are coming down to Ennis because they know they have COVID-19, in Bozeman, which you can't just lock the community down or whatever. But it's like, man, they say lockdown. That doesn't mean drive, an hour and a half down here to the grocery store and then an hour and a half back home. But, whatever. We're all one as a nation. We just got to support each other, and we're not locking down the town of Ennis. People can still get in here. We just have to heed the warnings and not spread this stuff around. It affects the sick and the old, but, there's cases of it affecting Olympic athletes and affecting marathon runners. And how sicknesses are when they run through the house. Like, I haven't been sick in 3 years, but I can have that one that can just get me, that comes through the house, and I'm the only person that gets it, or everybody in the family gets it. But one person gets it worse. It affects their body worse. And that's what this stuff could be, man. And there's an Olympic swimmer that got it. He was really good shape, I don't know, like 31 or 33 or something. He said you just couldn't imagine how bad it took his fitness level down. But, if you get it, I mean, it's just day by day. It's just life as a human being as we face challenges. And, if I get sick, I'm just going to have to ride it out. I'm going to do everything I can to not get it, not give my family it. And we're going to address that by the day and still try to continue with normal lives. I mean, the other thing is the financial deal. I mean, thank goodness, I'm not a rich man by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't have much debt. And I've got a nest egg, so I'm fine. I can ride out whatever. It's definitely gonna take a strain on me financially, and we've had to cancel. I feel so bad. Like the girls have had to cancel their volleyball and golf and softball and track, and school's now out till the 10th, and so he was just trying to spend quality time with them as I can too. I keep working away, but I can bring them with me. We can get outside for a hike. We can get out fishing. There's things that we can do and continue to be a strong family unit. But I feel bad. They've had everything canceled. And, and then my wife, we had a vacation planned for me and her. And I go on so many vacations. It's only right that I take her on a really nice one. We go have a good time. And I know she was really looking forward to it. She went through some tough times, like over the last few months, like a surgery that she had to go back in for, like had some complications and things went wrong, and pretty scary as a family unit. And thank God we were able to get it all taken care of, before this thing came out. I mean, she had to get an IV daily for a while and had an infection, and so we got through it. Everybody's all healthy, everybody's good, but I know she was really looking forward to this trip, and so we had to cancel that. And just tough to get your money back from flights and things. I was able to get some credit. Sounds like everybody else was able to get money back. Had to cancel that Aoudad hunt. I was really looking forward to that. Buddy of mine, JP, invited me down there. There's no corona around there, but, in these times where everything's changing by the day and the lockdowns, I just got to ride it out with my family. I can't be away from them, or I can't put them at a higher risk traveling through Salt Lake City and Denver through those flights. It's just not smart. So cancel that. I'll be able to rebook it. We'll go hang out. We will do that hunt eventually, and so it just isn't that big a deal. It's just gotta ride it out and control what I can control and keep my mind right. It's tough, like, because there's and I know I don't want this whole podcast to be about it, but this is our life right now. We're all dealing with it. It's all on the forefront of our minds. So we might as well just get it out of the way, talk about it, and then we can get into the stuff we really love, which is hunting, which, part of this is keeping our mind right. And I'm just not a doomsdayer. I just have so much faith that we're going to figure this thing out. We're going to work it out. Hunting season's going to come this year. We're going to be back to normal life. If it's financial challenges, like we all have our own personal set of challenges we have to make it through, and life is one challenge after the next, and we couldn't be better suited for this, being backcountry hunters. This is what we train for and work for, is mental toughness, is patience, is fortitude. Like those are all the skill sets that we've been earning over the years. So we just need to be the strong members of our family and leaders here and set an example for our kids, not panic. Just get through this thing, get back to normal life. I mean, the economy, yeah, it's bad, or it's tanking. They're trying to do what they can so we don't go into another recession. But whatever it is, we'll just make it through it. I've made it through everything so far in life. I don't think this thing's gonna stop me. But yeah, financially, I'll lose some money from this for sure. Take a hit to my accounts, but all I can do is just go out and try to make more and do what I can do. Be productive. Gosh, I mean, I can. I got extra stuff I can roll on eBay. I've got podcasts I can still get out, get good information to you guys. And we're talking about starting this fly fishing podcast. I got a few episodes of that. I've just have been fishing a bunch lately. It was really good yesterday. Caught a couple really nice trout on streamers. But, just keep working on what I can work on. That, construction as I can. And, just make it through this. If, my accounts go down a little bit. But I just got to get out and make some more and just go hustle. See what I can do. But, yeah, got to keep our minds busy in a time like this and just do what we can do. Control what we can control. I think that's like the scary thing is we don't, the future is unforeseen. Like we don't, it's unprecedented to be here. So, we're not sure if this stuff is going to last for 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. It could keep cycling back through and change life as we know it, like life after COVID-19. Who knows? I really doubt that. Like I say, I think we're smart people. We're going to figure it out. But that's kind of the unforeseen. It's like a mind trip that just gets you thinking about it and worried about it. And then pretty soon you're just not enjoying everyday life. Like, control the things I can control. Try to do the best job I can with this deal. Make smart decisions. I feel bad posting any pictures or anything because I know people are cooped up, and I sure am fortunate to be in a good spot, but I just appreciate and every day I'm getting out and doing my runs. I'm keeping my mind healthy, my body healthy, my immune system up, and just ride it through this thing. Focus on what I can focus on, and for me, mental and physical health. And then, I just can't help but just know, like in my heart and soul, like we're going to get back to hunting season. This fall is going to come again. And I think a guy's got some good chances to draw some tags, not that it's good that the nation's hurting financially, but that means less guys can apply, unsure future. And, it's some money that I can risk to see if I can come up with a good tag and some good hunts for this fall. And, if those get canceled when they come up, so be it. I'll just deal with that when it comes. It's like life is just one big hurdle and challenge after the next. And if it's not this, it's something else. And if it isn't this, it's something in your personal life. Like, you just got to be good at handling these things and control what you can control and let the rest work its way out. We're prepared here at the house, and, not that I think we're, they're going to shut grocery stores down. Thank goodness, I'm out a little bit. My exposure is a little bit. My wife's still been working. She's finally shut down. But, all these people, grocery stores and people that are still able to work are taking that chance, and everything in the health industry. Imagine being a doctor or nurse, and, not that stuff is that bad, and most people just ride it out. Most healthy people, just see mild conditions, but you're taking that chance for you and your family, being out there trying to take care of other people. So that's just amazing. Like, thank goodness we have selfless people in the medical industry and firefighters, policemen, just everybody that's chipping in to make this thing work. Heck, the people at the hardware store. I'm talking about going into Kenyon Noble and somebody sneezing or something, but there's people that are going to work there every single day in contact with probably tens of 50, hundreds of people. And now, I think a lot of these things will get shut down or less traffic. But the other day, at our lumberyard, there's a guy that drove out from Seattle because he was in a lockdown, and he was at our lumberyard. It's like, man, we just can't, we just all got to be cognizant right now and just get through this. And, part of it's like the older people in our life too. You just don't want them to get, or high risk, or whatever the case is. But, man, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. So hunting season is going to come. Should be some good opportunities. Man, I'm going to be ready. In top physical shape. I got that new VXR. Man, that thing is just a shooter. I've been practicing trying to get it all set up for aoudad hunting, and it's all ready to go. I didn't think I'd find a bow that shot better than that Vertex, but man, this one does. They just make small improvements. I think it's a little bit quieter. I like the longer axle to axle. The thing just really aims. I got a couple of these new stabilizers from Cutter I've been using. They're like they make different lengths, and I'm just into stabilizers. If you guys haven't messed with stabilizers on your bow, like, man, oh man, does it make a difference. And they can be spendy, but you can get kits, and basically I like to shoot a sidebar and a front bar. And when I first started shooting a bow, I would just buy one for sound dampening, or maybe it was an 8-inch, but you couldn't change the weights. But a lot of these bars now, they make brackets at Bee Stinger and different places. But a lot of these ones nowadays, like, you can change the weights, like by 1 ounce off the front and off the back. So I run a straight bar out the front, and then I run the bracket, and I run a bar out the back. And now, I've always ran a touch longer than guys. I started running a 12-inch out front and an 8-inch out back is a real good hunting setup. It's small. You can crawl with it. You can move with it. But as I started using stabilizers and really practicing on my hold, my feel, and my groups, I started messing with longer ones. You see all those tournament guys, all those 3D archers, they all have longer stabilizers. So it's like, well, I want to see what my bow feels like with those, or even messing in those, messing in those venues. Like I started to mess with some longer stabilizers and different weights and things. And so then I went to a 12 and a 10, a 12 out front, 10-inch in the back. It's like, man, that thing holds a little bit better. And I mess with my weights. And a heavy bow just always aims so good. But it's a tough balance, too. We're trying to build a backcountry setup, and we're counting ounces, for God's sakes. I'm cutting off handles of my toothbrush, but yet I'm throwing ounces, or like I've got a pound on my bow of just weights for hold. But, man, that's my moneymaker. That's what, that any successful hunt comes down to making a shot. And a lot of times it's a 40-yard chip shot, and you make the shot and the hunt's over with. But, man, sometimes it's a 55-yard downhill steep angle, got to put it right in there. And I just have confidence in that setup. It's my moneymaker. It's my hunt will come down to making a shot. So I carry a pound of weights. Like right now on my setup, I've got 6 ounces out front. I've got 10 ounces in the back, an extra pound of weight. Maybe a pound and a half by the time you figure in the bars and the bracket and everything. Not quite, but pretty close. So a pound and a half of weight that gives me a better chance at filling my high country mule deer tag or my elk tag. I'll take that. And I just mess around with different weights and the feel of that thing. And I actually went last year to shooting a 15-inch front and a 12-inch back. And man, oh man, the hold, I just can't deny the hold and shootability. Like, I can't shoot any longer stabilizers. It's getting to be a bit ridiculous. 15-inch out front, 12-inch out back. It doesn't stick out a total of 12 inches in the back. And I have noticed, like, belly crawling and things like that bar can stick up a little bit. I've got to slide my bow flat. But again, it just comes down to making that shot. And we're all individuals. There is no right or wrong answer. Like, this is just what's right for me, and improving my shooting to become the best shooter I can and the most consistent shooter I can, and being able to rely upon, making these shots under the crunch and tough shots under the crunch to fill a hunt that I've been on for 10 days trying to earn an opportunity at a trophy buck. And so for me, it's just worth it. And we all have to make that choice. But yeah, I'm shooting that 15 out front, that 12 out back. And then, I messed around with weights. I tried to go with a lightweight setup, and it aimed and shot good out of that VXR, but I just can't deny it. I stick on those stabies, and I get that weight moved around. And that thing is just shooting some groups for me, shooting distance for me. The close stuff's, a gimme, even though I practice it day in, day out. And so, yeah, I'm just running a lot of arrows through this bow. That bow and my backup is now that Verdict, so I shoot that as my backup. That thing is just still shooting as good as the day I set it up. That's just a great shooting bow. Man, that harvested a lot of good animals, made a lot of good shots for me this year. So, yeah, I'm just pumped. I'm working with my bow. I'm getting a lot of arrows in. Getting arrows in every day. And just trying to up it and really get my hold strength. It just seems like when you're strong and shooting a bunch of arrows, you just hold really good, you execute really good, and I can also tell that I have endurance. Like, I don't fatigue after a bunch of shots. And man, on these high country hunts, man, you get worn down day in, day out, climbing the mountains and awkward angles, and you just want to be strong. When you draw back, you want to be able to aim that pin right where you want it and execute. So yeah, just working on my strength a lot. For me, it's just a total body fitness, and a healthy mind for me is to work hard. And so, along with that, with my shooting, doing that weight training, and I just like body exercise, just push-ups, dips, pull-ups different way, a little bit of kettlebells, my trail running, of course. But if I just did one thing, yeah, I'd just be one-faceted. Like, overall fitness is just really using your body in different ways. Flexibility, I stretch 2 times a day. I'm stretching, just constantly stretching and trying to keep limber, and trying to heal up all the abuse I put my body through running these miles through the week. And running's been good. The snow's finally dissipating and out of the valley floor, and starting to out of the mountains, so starting to get some good elevation runs in. And I got some skis there for a while. I was skiing or getting some cross-country skiing in for fitness. There was just so much snow in the valley, but kind of back to running. Muddy trails, snowy trails. It's kind of a pain, but just got to go out with a good attitude, get some miles in. No, it's not going to be super fast, but just try not to bust my butt and, try not to take any bad spills on the ice or anything like that. But, yeah, I like this total body conditioning, and I've always thought too, like a good upper body can just aim and hold a bow and execute a bow better than a smaller upper body or a less fit upper body. So I'm just into it. I'm just constantly working on getting stronger, and those weights will mess with your shooting a little bit, and you don't shoot as good, but that's part of the challenge of it. That's good for me. It's good to wear down my muscles and have to shoot when I'm aiming less than perfect, because that's the way it's going to be on an animal. When I draw back on an animal, that adrenaline's buzzing, that, very rarely are you just rock steady on your target. You got to give it a second, couple breaths, and that aiming will settle down and slow down and put it where you want it, but it's good, like even to run back and forth from the target, elevated heart rate, push-ups, and then shoot your bow as your arms are weak and can barely hold, all that stuff just prepares you for that crunch time when you do get to bend the limbs back and go for it. And it's going to be fun. We got bear season coming up. I love bear season. Able to take that nice blonde last year. I'm really going to hold out for a big blower this year, and just quality days and spots I know and some other spots I want to explore and some high country, and we'll see if I get to travel a little bit and go to Idaho and go hunt bears there, but should be some good color phase. Sure had some great hunting last year. I just love stocking up on those things with my bow. And springtime is such a good time of year to get out. Those bears, I mean, I've said it before, they're 99% boredom and 1% thrilling excitement. They're tough to figure out and dial in, but once you dial in a couple of these drainages that hold bears, and you start to find the vantage points and the way to travel to and from the travel corridors, and start seeing some sign, all the stuff, it's just experience. And you got to go out a few days and get your butt kicked, maybe not see a bear, but then you'll have a day where you see 5 or you see 3 and you get a stalk on a nice boar. And that payoff is just what keeps me coming back. There's less guys in the mountains, and it's entry level to dangerous game. I always, since being a kid, like with a bow and arrow, you just dream about hunting grizzlies or brown bears or dangerous game in Africa. Well, black bear is the entry level to dangerous game, and so you get to practice that on the stalk. There's just a little bit more adrenaline running through your veins, and you got to be careful with these bears. I mean, black bears aren't known as being super aggressive or a lot of attacks. I mean, even though there are a lot of attacks, I shouldn't even say that. You got to be careful around a mom and a cubs. And what I do on these bears is I glass from afar and I glass them up, and then I usually just keep a safe distance from them. Especially if it's a sow and a cub, I don't want to get inside 100 yards. And sometimes I'll just be traveling to a spot and I'll bump into them inside 100 yards. And if that's the case, I just try to sneak out of there with a good wind, not let them know I'm there. If you're in tight, you make that sow, it's fight or flight for her. She's either going to protect her cubs or she's going to run with her cubs or, leave her cubs. But when you're inside that close proximity, you make that bear choose whether it wants to fight you or flight you, and so those are the situations I try to avoid. I just try to give them a wide berth, stay out of their way, try not to get inside 100 yards unless it's go time, unless I'm trying to shoot that thing. And when I'm trying to shoot that thing, I'm all in. And nowadays, I carry that pistol with me all the time. I used to just go bear spray or just my bow or not even worry about it, but I have been charged by a couple of those bears I've hit. And when you hit a black bear, it's a different deal. It's not like hitting a deer or elk where they always run away. They roar and bite at that arrow and spin, and they're pissed. And a lot of times when a lot of times they're not looking to charge. They're just trying to get away from you, and you're in their way. Like you're in the direction they run to try to get away from that arrow that just hit them. And then you have to defend your position because they're coming right at you. And that one bear, great big chocolate, like the last day of the season, hit him back. He disappeared behind the tree down below me, and I knocked another arrow. And then he was jogging. He was going to come right up by me. He was making a death run, and I huffed at him. And then he pinned his ears and came right at me. And I sent another arrow through him, right in hit him behind his head, behind his neck, down through him because they sit so low to the ground. I always thought you'd shoot for the chest, but I actually shot for, like, he had his head down charging, and it hit him, like, right behind the head, like, down and in him right there. And then that one last year, of course, that I horrible display of shooting with my pistol, and I've been practicing since. I mean, I realize what I did now is I hit that bear, I backed up, I pulled my pistol, and that bear started charging. I just started squeezing rounds, and I was watching the bear. I just didn't line up my sights, and so been practicing with my pistol and just getting that shooting process of drawing up, line up the sights, squeeze, and that way I'm just squeezing rounds like right into that spot I want to squeeze it, where, it'll roll a pop can down the road or it'll hit a cardboard box every single time. That's the way I need to shoot, and my life depends on it. Not the other way, like shooting 9 times and hitting them twice and grazing them once. It was 9 or 11. I can't remember exactly the details, but it wasn't a great display of shooting. Just thank goodness I had an arrow through the lungs of that bear before he charged me. But man, that's what can happen. So that's part of the unknown and part of the thrill. When you see a big boar and he's down, you glass him up in a little pocket park in there, and you think he's a giant black bear body, and you think, God, I think I can get to him. And then inside 100 yards and seeing that bear again, and then you're trying to stalk as he's got his head down. And bears, you can get a lot more aggressive too. Like bears, they're nearsighted, and they're like any animal. Like, I used to not wear camo, and I love the Sika's subalpine pattern. It blends in so good, and I believe in having earth tones, and I believe in good backdrop. But I'm telling you, like, beyond all else, what animals see is movement. They catch you moving. So if you're not moving when they're looking at you, you can get away with a lot, and that's all animals for that matter. And that's why hunting elk and hunting the herd is so tough, because you've got 30 eyes from all the cows, or hunting late season muleys during the rut when they've got a group of 5 or 6 does. You've got all those eyeballs. So if any of those heads are up looking in your direction and you move an inch, they catch you. So like spotting and stalking is all about movement. It's all about not letting them see that movement. And then, you can hide your movement too by being in the shadows. If it's a bright sunny day and you got this bear you're moving in on, and you're moving down a slide or down an opening, you can be in the cover of those trees and in that shade, and you can get away with a heck of a lot more than you can like moving through that meadow. And like I say, these tactics, these apply for all spot and stalk, all animals. So, you can just, you can use the cover. I'm also always using the landscape. I'm always trying to hide myself by a little ridge or a little bump or a little hill, and I'm trying to hide behind that and close in the distance. Use that landscape to move in. And then when all else fails, I'm just watching that bear and watching his head down feeding, and I'm moving while his head's down, and I'm freezing while his head's up. And bears, I mean, it's a wild experience. These bears, you see them spot and stalking, usually glass them from the vantage points. And then a lot of times, it takes you so long to get to them, or, maybe the bears decided to put away, or, there's all these things that can happen. So, you may finally find a trophy boar and you try to get on him and he isn't there, when he gets there. So you have these failed attempts. So you start to get pretty aggressive with your stalking and trying to make something happen. Just going over there and seeing if you can get into range, seeing if he's still there when you get there. Or like you get over to where that bear was, and then you find another closer vantage point where you can kind of sit and wait for that bear to come back out. And I play those games a bunch, but you're just trying to create an opportunity. And with a bow, I need so many more opportunities than with a rifle, which I believe when you start hunting bears, start hunting them with a rifle, because you may only see a few a season, and if you see a good one, you close the deal. But the next level of hunting them is that the getting in close and with that bow, it's such a thrill that I can't get off it. I want to kill one with my bow more so than I want to kill a big one. But like I say, we're all individuals and we're all on our own journey, and we're just trying to be out in nature and enjoying ourselves. Like, I don't care which way you go about doing it, and all of it's really fun. Like, I just like the thrill of getting close. But to be a bow hunter, you need more opportunities, because you have to get inside of 40 yards. So you're going to screw it up a bunch. The bears are going to move off a bunch. But these stalks start getting real aggressive where you're trying to make things happen and put yourself in a place to be successful. And the same for all these hunts, elk, mule deer, whatever. Like, I mean, it gets towards that end of that hunt and you want to try to make something happen. You got to give yourself a chance. You got to, not be so aggressive that you blow things out and blow your opportunity. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you go in on bears on a bad wind. They can smell 10 times or 7 times what a bloodhound can. So, you're not going to fool their nose. So the conditions have to be right. But I like to get over there and give myself a chance. Like, get another vantage point that's close to that, to where if he does come out, I think I can get to him. Or maybe the wind isn't right, but I can set up, a few hundred yards from where he is in a good wind. And then as the evening thermals set in and those mountains start to shade, it starts to pull those thermals downhill, and I have a consistent wind, and I can move in and kill him when he comes out. Like, I'm constantly thinking in this way on these hunts, whether it's mule deer or elk or bear or whatever it is. I'm just trying to give myself a chance without blowing it, without blowing up the opportunity, and so I just start playing things aggressive, and sometimes it means I've got 4 hours of extra walking, and I'm going to be home at midnight, and I got to wake up for work the next day. It's like I'm willing to gamble that. I'm willing to just gamble that just to give myself a chance. Give myself a chance to kill one with a bow. Because a black bear in Montana, spot and stalk, or in anywhere, like, it may look easy as you see guys with bears, and not that I'm against bait, or, I think bait's an effective way to kill them, and you see more and you get close, good opportunities. They just don't allow it in Montana. And then, I've fallen in love with what's tough for some reason. So there's nothing wrong with it. And you have that opportunity in Alaska or Idaho. It'd be a fun opportunity to have, but I sure like spotting and stalking those things. It's pretty difficult. Like, it's really difficult. It may be the toughest, most unknown challenge in my home state of Montana anyways. You look at success rates on deer and elk and things, and look at how many guys have killed a bear with their bow and arrow, spot and stalk. There's just not a whole bunch of them. And then to kill a big bear with spot and stalk, like, it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of work and a lot of just being out there trying to make it happen day after day after day. So when it does come together and I accomplish my goal and I arrow a mature bear, I am on top of the world. And I could really care less what anybody else thinks. Like, it's in my own mind, I'm really proud of myself. Like, it is a really tough feat to get it to all come together on a mature boar, get an arrow in them, and at times it seems mission impossible. So when I pull it off, man, it makes my whole spring and summer. Like, it's a really fun way to hunt them, a fun way to spend time. And then the accomplishment when you pull together dangerous game with your bow and arrow, giant black bears, spot and stalk, spend days up on the mountain, glassing these little openings. And you spend a lot of days, like, not seeing them in good spots too. Like, I've got good bear spots where I've seen a lot of bears over the years that you go and you grab the right vantage point at the right time, which I always love afternoon, evenings. It kind of depends on the weather. Early season, early season, like, I want it warmer and sunny. Later in the year, if it's raining or overcast, the bears will come out earlier, and you can really hunt bears all day long. I usually tend to hunt them, I'd say, afternoons and evenings, and evenings are really your best bet hunting bears. But you can see them any part of the day. It's just one of those things that if you got free time, you go out, and some days I'll do a mid-morning shift, and some days I'll do an afternoon shift. And you're just trying to key into where these bears are at and the times of day that they're coming out. But you keep your eyes on little openings. They do come out in those. And it's different. I've always given the advice, like, oh, look in the north sides, look in the pocket parks. And that is true. Like, in my home valley, like, I could find them on any hillside, but the majority of time, I find them on north slopes, pocket parks, deep neon green. I look for the best feed. Usually they're within 1,000 feet of the snow line, 1,500 feet of the snow line, and they'll follow that snow melt up. As that snow melts off, it just rivers of water that pour down over that, and that grass with that new sunshine just seems to sprout up. So it's just neon green. And bears, they're more elevation key than probably anything I've ever hunted. When I start finding bears at 6,500 feet, I look for other spots at 6,500 feet and I find bears there. Like they're really elevation specific. But I've given that advice at looking on north slopes, and it's true. Like I find a ton of them on north slopes, but it all depends on your region that you're hunting. As I start hunting more around Montana and more around Idaho and different places, Alaska, I notice that when I go to the western side of Montana, there's more timber, there's more cover. On the north sides, it's nothing but timber and rock. There's no real feed or pocket parks there. Like out there, you look on the south side facers because they're the ones that are a little bit more open, get the sunshine, grow the grass, and there's still like sparse cover. But, here in my home valley, I live in fairly open terrain, a southwest Montana, and so it's fairly open. And so the south sides are just too open and too big and burned off and not enough cover. The majority. Now, you can find them on any slope. You just got to key into where they're at. But, where I'm at, I'd look more on the north slopes and find them more there. So it's almost, as I evolve my bear hunting to different places and different regions, I have to adapt it to those specific places and where I see bears. So, it isn't all about the north slopes. Man, they could be on any slope, but, it is about that elevation. I think that elevation is key. And earlier in the season, earlier in the season, you see them come out, and gosh, I totally lost my train of thought. I was going to talk about early season to late season, where they prefer. Oh, well, so like the early season, when it's just early, first thing in the spring, I find them lower, right? And then as it gets later, I follow the snow melt up. But even in my home valley, like I may start at about 5,000 feet, but I end my bear season at maybe 75, 8,000, and I don't find them over 8,000 feet. But take it, in fall and August, after all that snow melts in that high country, those bears will be up higher, up around those elevations. But for me, I'm usually 5,000 to 7,500 or 5,000 to 8,000, depending on where the snow melt is. And then it's weird where you look for these things. Like early in the season, when it's the first thing in the spring, bears can be tough to find. And the deal is they're just not keyed into the green grass and the feeding features yet. I usually find them around their denning spots. So real rocky, rough, cliffy terrain. I've seen bears in terrain that doesn't look like goats can walk. They can dang near climb vertical slopes, but they like to den, in just rocky, craggy, cavey country, just rough rock slides, maybe a few patches of grass down lower here or there. But I find that these bears, for the first couple weeks of coming outside their dens, they'll just walk outside their dens and they'll just wander around for the day or for a couple of hours, go back inside their den. So they're just like eating around their dens, little shoots of grass they can find in the rocks, and then they don't leave the security of their dens until the weather really changes and until they can be outside all the time. And so I usually give this period about 2 weeks, and it's usually about from April 15th to April 30th, or may even go to the first week of May, where you're really finding them in these denning spots. And where you see a bear, hunt that spot, because he will come out there again. And then after that early season and coming out their dens, the weather starts to warm up, the grass starts to really green up in places, and these bears, they start to move off and move towards the feed. And that's when I find them more in the pocket parks and green seeps and any place like super green, neon, meadow grass. Like they're really focused that time of year at getting grasses and wild onions and things of that nature. And so, this period usually holds through like about the month of May or so, where they're just hitting these pocket parks, they're following that snow melt up, and then you start to get into the rut. And the rut, these boars will start to travel country a little bit more. And also, it seems like in my area, later in the season, like the last couple weeks in June, it can be really good hunting, and you'll still see bears in parks, but the timber seems to green up too and gets a bunch of grass in it. And so these bears, a lot of times, I don't see them as much later in the season there because they can just feed in sparse timber. But I just start traveling country, and a lot of times they're just in like little features. Like I love to find master vantage point that shows off just a ton of bear country, but I'll also hike into a little secluded canyon that may only have 3 openings, but they're really good 3 openings. Like I might find a bear in there, and bears really like to be secluded. They like to be able to escape danger really quick and get into the timber, just a secluded little meadow. They can come out in the middle of the day and feed, or in the evening and feed, and so that's kind of what I look for. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, just fortunate I live in this good mountain range with really good bear hunting around me. So if you guys have a chance to make the trip out to Montana or Idaho where you have these opportunities around you, it's worth the tag and it's worth the experience, and it's worth it to fit in a springtime hunt too, just in the overall bow hunting skill. Like, I know these hunts, they force me to be ready, and just like this Aoudad hunt, even though I had to cancel it, and I gotta call and cancel the flights here, but even though I got to do that, like, it's forced me to prepare for this hunt, to be in great physical shape, to come into this thing. I have a chance at an Aoudad sheep. Like, I want to be in great shape. I want to be dialed in. I want my bow shooting good. And so, it's kind of like being a runner and signing up for a race. It forces you to train for that race. So same thing with bears. It's going to force you to get ready for bear season, make sure your shooting's on par if you get any chances. So all of a sudden you're putting all this prep into getting ready for this bear season the same way you would the prep for getting ready for the fall and ready for deer and elk. And so, you sharpen all these skills, you get ready, and then you're out there practicing those skills of glassing and moving through country and executing stalks and trying to keep it together, keep your excitement level, keep a calm in the moment. And so all these things transfer to fall. And so you get to add, I get to hunt after work and things. I get to go a bunch of different days. Our season goes from April 15th to June 15th. So what, about 60 days in there? And so, I can stack 20, 30 days. Heck, there's been seasons where I get 50 days in, and maybe slow at work, or like I say, I get afternoons, and, I do what I can for making softball games, but the truth is I get a lot of days bear hunting, but these days they all go into my skill set. It's the reason why I'm successful on 2 bulls this last season, Idaho and Montana. It's because I got this good bow hunting skill set, and I get that through experience and time of field. But it's tough to take off so much time during the fall. But in the springtime, you just make some extra time, or do a week trip, or go out for some long weekends, or whatever the case. But just know that these extra days that you're putting in are going into your overall hunting skill, therefore making you a better bow hunter, therefore giving you better odds of success at arrowing a monster muley buck this season, or arrowing a monster bull. And just this problem solving, this going into bear country and trying to figure out where bears are, it's such a necessary skill. Like, as I travel all over the country, I'm constantly finding myself in new places and having to solve the puzzle and figure it out. New places, new species, and you show up, and if I'm being honest, like, sometimes I'm totally lost. Like, show up to try to hunt axis deer in Hawaii. I don't even know what an axis deer does. I don't even know where an axis deer feeds. I don't even know what the terrain looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get used to each one of these different species and different habitats, and solve the puzzle, whether that's high country muleys, desert muleys, red rock muleys, sagebrush muleys, whatever it is. You got to dial into that habitat and that species and find their preferences and what they like. And so, by doing this spring bear season, you're just solving these equations and these problems. And even if you don't arrow one, or like when I first started out, it was like a 3-year quest to try to arrow a bear with my bow. And it was just like a goal I set upon myself. But, through putting in these days, it just started to improve my hunting skill, that started to transpose into hunting different species in the fall. And part of the reason I'm a good bow hunter is because I'm always bow hunting. I'm always in a bow hunter's mindset, and I just really think for anything that you love to do, experience is just the best teacher. Like, you can definitely shorten the learning curve by podcasts and by reading and by information. It plants the seeds of these different theories inside your head, but then you got to go put them into practice in the field. And if you're really paying attention and dialed in, and you kind of have the idea of what the right move is, or how your personal, your personal preferences for a hunt, or how you go about it, like, man, if you can dial that in, and it just makes you so effective on all these adventure hunts. Maybe I'm rambling now, but God dang it, like I think it's a really good point that just experience is the best teacher. So you kind of prepare yourself to learn and open up your mind to different theories and how different guys do things, which then gives you an idea how you're going to be successful. And then you go out in the field and you try to put it into practice and you try to do what you've learned, and then you try to make the right decisions and be calm during the crunch. There's just nothing better in life. Like anything that's hard earned or takes a lot of work or that's really tough and really challenging, it just means more when you accomplish it and when you do it. And that's the key to life, man. I mean, that transfers into everything, but it really, truly makes me happy to set these challenges and these goals. And, you know, it isn't me versus nature, but me getting along with nature and surviving out in it for days on end, and then really challenging my physical fitness and really challenging my mind and what I'm capable of, my belief system, how committed I am. It challenges everything. And then that problem solving and figuring it out. But gosh, I just, that is what drives me. That's what absolutely drives me, is to get to a new place with a new species, or, you know, maybe the same species, but a new place, and just dive into it. Maybe start failing at first, but day after day after day, I start unlocking more of the puzzle pieces and figuring out more and where the animal's like. And all of a sudden I get a stalk. And then all of a sudden I get another stock, and then all of a sudden it comes together, and I get in close and put in a perfect arrow in that animal. Man, it just doesn't get any better than that. So, season's going to come. I know it, guys. Well, and even if it doesn't, it takes over, we're going to be forced to hunt anyway, so we might as well sharpen our skills and get ready. It's a joke. I know we're in serious times or whatever, but what else do you do? I make jokes when I'm in serious times on hunts too. So, you know, I really do have faith we're going to get things back to normal. And I know I'm working hard to be ready for it. I'm going to get my family through this tough time and see my way through it. You know, make sure I work hard and put some money in my pocket. And then, heck, I'm going to apply for some tags, and hopefully I'm hunting all over the country. And if anything, it emphasizes to me that life is short. Better do what you love to do. Better get in those adventures when I can. And I've got to work. I've got to pay bills. I've got to support my family and be a productive member of society. But I also have to hunt, take care of myself, take care of my mental health, challenge myself physically and mentally. Like, that's healthy for a person. That's going to make us live a long life. So for me, I mean, that's what it's all about. I'm going to be applying for tags and going for it. By the way, I want to mention another one of our sponsors on the show, Evolution Outdoors. They're a new sponsor this year. Dale Perry is the owner of it. I really like Dale Perry. I did a podcast with him. He was the original designer of the Gravedigger broadheads, which I used for years. And then he came out with this new Evolution Outdoors broadhead. So he offers 100s, 125s, 150s. Those are grain weights. And then he offers the Jekyll and the Hyde. Let me just pull them up here. I always get confused on which one's which, but the Jekyll is their fixed blade, and that fixed blade, man, that thing is an evil head. Evil in a good way, as it does a lot of damage, which is what we want. This is the best fixed blade head I've ever shot. I shot it in Idaho this year. I'd shoot it anywhere. It's got a 1-inch cut the one way. The blades are sharpened both front and back. It's got a 3/4 cut the other way. That's a cut on contact that is sharpened both front and back. So you get one of those into an animal and it runs away. It just does damage. And these things are devastating. They really penetrate well. They were designed for penetration. They were designed for aerodynamics. It's the most aerodynamic fixed blade head I've ever shot. So make sure to check them out. Jekyll, it's Evolution Outdoors. Really like that head. And then they also have their Hyde. I love this head too. So the Hyde is it's a hybrid. So it's a 3/4 fixed one way, sharpened both front and back. And then the other way, it's got an expandable blade that opens up to 1 5/8 inch. So a 2-blade expandable. Super aerodynamic. I've shot expandables for all species for the last 10 years, from axis deer to elk to antelope to everything in between. But these things will just do the job. They're just devastating. I shot them in Montana this year with great results. Just a super head for a mechanical or a hybrid head. I like them both. I just put in my order for the year, and I ordered 12 of the Jekylls and 12 of the Hydes. So I'll mix and match as I see fit to which species I'm hunting and what I want to shoot, but I'd shoot either one of these broadheads at any animal in North America. They're an awesome company. Make sure to check them out, Evolution Outdoors. Alrighty. Well, guys, just got to ride this thing out. Got to be there for our family, but also get ready to enjoy what we love to do. It's going to come. We're going to get through this thing. So focus on what you can, and if you're in a bad spot or facing challenges, as a lot of us are, just try to see your way out of it and the end goal. If it's financial, you figure out some things you can sell, you get through it, you push off some payments, as I think, the government or some of these companies are going to forgive payments for a little bit. You just find your way out, just solve it. And once you're able to get out there and make some money, go try to make some money and hustle and put some away and some security away. And if it's family, just try to take care of them and do all you can do. We really need to help each other in this time. And, just get through it. Make sure to reach out to your family and friends. Tell them you love them. Tell them you appreciate them. Man, this whole life is all about family and friends. Like, even all this stuff I love to do. And I love to do a lot of these hunts solo, fishing solo. Like, there's nothing better than having family and friends that truly care about me, that I can call and I can talk to and go, man, yesterday fishing was so good. Like, I hadn't caught anything, and I tied on this streamer, and I swung it through a couple of these big runs that I know, and hooked a couple fish, and then tell that story to the people I love. Like, it's just the best. And friends too. Like to call my buddy Dan and talk to him this morning, and he's remodeling his kitchen, and I'm going to run up next weekend and help him pour his countertops up there. So we'll hang out. I'll bring my fishing rod. He lives right on the Missouri. But I'll go up to Dan's and help him do that. We'll get in some runs and fish the Missouri. But, just even BSing with my buddy Dan today, just about hunting season and hunts and kind of what we think about COVID-19. And same stuff I'm talking to you guys about. But just talking about things and life and what we're going through, man, it's everything. These relationships that we have with both family and friends, it is just absolutely everything to me. Just want to make sure that I'm always taking care of those people in my life and always doing right by them too. It's a big part of who I am, is making the right decision and doing the right thing whenever faced with it. But man, that's what life's all about. So, man, keep safe out there, guys. Keep your head screwed on right. Be a good leader for your family. We'll get through this thing. We'll look back. It'll be no big deal. It's just like all the challenges we've faced. We'll get through this one too. So thanks as always, you guys, for all the support. I really appreciate it. I just want to continue to put out great content to you guys that gives you guys meaning and gives you guys a little entertainment. So I'm going to keep working hard. Just been recording some really good ones and got some really good guests lined up, and always thinking about who that next potential best guest could be. I just love having those quality conversations. Yeah, I got some great ones coming up. I've got one with Tony Treach that's just a great one. That one went a little long, but just an awesome conversation. I recorded one with Clint the other day. Buddy Clint, he's been on before. He had a heck of a year. He's been trying to harvest a mature mule deer for 4 seasons or 4 different trips, and this year he did it. Spoiler alert, but he harvested a couple of really nice mule deer. So really happy for him, and talk about his journey. And I've got some other ones too. I've got some other just great recordings. I've got a whole list of them, and just going to continue to get them out to you guys and keep this thing rolling on, get through this thing together. So if you guys need anything from me, you can reach out on social media, on IG at the Eastmans Elevated page, and also a personal page, Brian Barney. Again, you can find some of the Eastman stuff, Beyond the Grid, internet TV show. Me and Dan are trying to put an episode of Beyond the Grid together for next season. I'm super excited. I hope it comes together with Dan. And so we're talking about potential hunts that we can do together, but some great Beyond the Grids out there. Dan's done a super job with it. Some great hunts. I have one on there that's my Alaska and caribou hunt. And we're hoping that some of these hunts that are on the Outdoor channel now, that we can then release a copy to Beyond the Grid in the near future. So you guys without TV, you guys that aren't an old guy like me and has TV, that you guys can watch them too. So make sure to check out Beyond the Grid. If you're interested in our new service, Tag Hub, check that out. If you're interested in the magazine, Eastman's Hunting Journal, Eastman's Bow Hunting Journal, that's what started this whole thing. I've been writing for him for about 10 years or so, and I'm still writing in there nearly every episode of the Eastman's Bow Hunting Journal and a lot of the Eastman's Hunting Journal as well. It's just an awesome magazine, great content, and then along with that, you get the Eastman's MRS section, which is the members research section that really gives you a lot of information to learn these different states and go on some of these hunts. So let's see the code. I just cleaned my office, wouldn't you know? It's Elevated 220, and text that to 22828. That'll get you a subscription to both magazines, get you an Outdoor Edge replaceable blade knife, $49.99. So you guys can pick up that deal if you need some new reading material. And with that, let's wrap this thing up. It's about 2 o'clock here on a Saturday, so I better get out, shoot my bow, get my run in for the day. But yeah, just keep positive, guys. Keep positive for you and your family, and we'll get through this together. Let me know if you need anything, and check in with you next week.